Okay, I can find a hair fast enough, and I'm like, you know what? I'll throw it up. And it's this tiny little hair tie too, but whatever. It'll work for now. So, how are people in like cold states holding up? My sister sent me a photo from yesterday of her backyard, and it's like above the chair outside. The snow is. Um, I know John had lost power. I was nervous when I hadn't seen him yesterday. Not even like a good morning or good night, and then he wrote me today, late afternoon, like, I finally got like, he got, like, power, Wi-Fi, so he was hoping he could be on tonight, but, um, I was thinking of you, and also today, I was working more in the garage. You guys know, um, and um, it's a lot for, my protection right now becomes very immediate that I want my car to be in my garage, so I went to the thrift today. I only got just a few books. I don't wanna lie, like, I know what a few means to everyone, and, like, to me, it's, like, less than 100. I think it was, like, 4, between 3 and 5 bucks. Yeah, but to read to you, like, options, look at the reviews, but the reason I was there mainly is because I was bringing a lot of stuff, to donate, so some chairs, a whole bag of stuff. I have umpire equipment from the shins, the, like, vest. So forgive me if any of you had like a erotic fantasy of me pleasuring myself dressed as an umpire. I know that's why I bought it, but I had to make decisions. I'm going to donate, and it's like, you know what? I say a little hope that in doing this and getting rid of things, that it opens possibilities for a future where I keep this one being safe and yeah. Oh, this little number I did find in the garage. Oh, and also, so I looked up last night about the lady on Wikipedia. And I didn't finish reading like her whole page. I keep wanting to find a comb around here. Um, but it's dark. It's darker than anything I've even read so far in the book. Um, it's really, really bad. I'm not gonna start all of it yet. Maybe at the end we could talk about of the book, like if they don't get into it. And then there's maybe I could link to you. There's like been at least YouTube documentaries I think about it. But anyway, Catherine Hepburn. That's what I was thinking of. Adopted from this place. Like she adopted mainly to New York and California because they had a thing where you could only make $7 to avoid like this exact thing, right? In the state of Tennessee. But if they're out of state adoptions, it doesn't apply. So that she'd go and she'd look for rich people to make the money. Um Ric Flair, the wrestler, he was adopted from this place, the Tennessee Children, from this woman, Georgia Chan, in this book. Um, it's a lot of people, and right, think about it. It's the prominent, yeah, like wealthy families. So they're going to be connections to. Actually, the New York governor made, and so a lot of these went to New York, right? A law about like sealing all this. You can't get any of this information um, in 1935. So that's before this happened. This is very early on in this, right? Because he had adopted. So anyway, it's more and more fascinating. But we're going to continue reading tonight, and what they don't discuss, I mean, you can talk some down the road. But here we are right now. Um, this is what we have to go. But I believe we're starting up. I can't bear the smell of her. I will see that this is accomplished. So that's where they're writing about poor Rill. And get her bathed and upstairs, and we'll see this is accomplished. So Yeah, because now she's her siblings are getting adopted, or poor Camellia, and I'm telling you what I read about that, um, what happened to his kids and stuff. Yeah, that should really happen. So, okay. Got an iced coffee over there. Mm. Let me pull you guys up. Oh, the dirt. You're listening to that? Okay. Um, well, yeah, apparently he wrote an autobiography, and the first chapter is called Black Market Baby, and about the adoption from this place. Yeah. So, very interesting and also horrible, horrifying stuff. So, yeah. Miss Polnick wraps a hand around my arm, but I hardly even feel it. When she leaves me outside, I just sit for a long time on the porch steps. The other kids wander by and look at me like I'm an animal from the zoo. I don't pay them any mind. Stevie comes and tries to crawl into my lap, and I can't even stand to have him close. It makes me think of Fern. Go on and play with the trucks, I tell him, then walk off across the yard, all the way to the fence behind the church house, and crawl up under a nest of wild grapevines to hide. I look through the leaves at the bedroom windows where the girls sleep, and I wonder if I jump from one tonight, will I die? I can't live without Fern. We've been joined at the heart since she was born. Now my heart's gone. I lay my head down and feel the pinpoints of sun on my neck and let sleep come over me and hope I won't wake up. When I do, someone's touching my arm. I jerk away and wobble into a squat, thinking it's Riggs. But the face that looks back at me makes me believe I'm still in a dream. I must be. Silas? He puts a finger to his lips. Shh, he whispers. I reach through the bars, my hands shaking and stretching. I have to see if he's real. His fingers close over mine. He holds tight. We found where you was, finally, he says. A lady at the hospital got your mama and daddy to sign some papers right after the babies came. They told your daddy if he'd sign it all, he could get Queenie's doctor bill paid for, and the babies would be buried proper. But that ain't what the papers was for at all. It let them come and take you off the Arcadia. When Bryony and Zed went to the police, they said Bryony had signed y'all over to the Tennessee Children's Home Society. There was nothing to be done about it, and that's that. We've been hunting y'all for weeks. That lady, Miss Dodd, she finally found us and told us where y'all was. I've been coming here and watching this place every chance I get, hoping to see that you still here. They've been keeping me inside. I got in trouble. I look around in the vines. I still can't believe what's happening. I must be making it up in my head. Where's Queenie and Bryony? Taking care of the Arcadia, getting her ready to set off on the river again. She's been tied up a long time. I sag against the bars. My skin goes hot and red. Sweat runs under the ragged nightie I've been wearing for weeks now. What'll Bryony think of me when he knows the truth? They took everybody. They took everybody from me. I couldn't do what Bryony said. I couldn't keep us together. It's all right, Silas whispers. He strokes my hair while I cry, his fingers tangling in the mess. I'm going to get you out. I'm going to come tonight and cut through one of the bars over there under the holly. We busting yous out. Holly berries, where the brush is good and thick. Can you come out here tonight? Can you sneak off? I hiccup and sniff and nod. If James could get down to the kitchen to steal food, I can get to the kitchen too. If I can get to the kitchen, I can get to the churchyard. Silas studies the fence. You give me a little while, a couple hours after it's full dark to slip in here and cut that bar. Then you come. The less time they've got to miss you, the better. We make the plan, and then he tells me he better go before anybody sees him. It's all I can do to let loose of him and crawl out from under the vines and walk away. It's only a few more hours, I tell myself. Just the rest of the day, then supper, and one more bath, and I'll be home. Back home on the Arcadia. But when I start across the yard, I see Stevie looking for me, and I think, what about him? Danny Boy comes out to rough Stevie up at the churchyard gate. You leave him be. I close the space between us and stand over Danny Boy. I think I got taller while I was in the basement. Dinner for sure. The fist I wave in Danny Boy's face looks so bony it could be sticking up out of a grave. I ain't gonna fight ya. You stink too much. Danny Boy swallows hard. Maybe he figures if I made it for weeks downstairs, I'm too tough to tangle with. Maybe he's afraid if he gets in a wrangle, they'll do the same to him. He doesn't give me or Stevie any trouble all the rest of the day. When we line up to go in for the evening, I take the front spot for Stevie and me. Danny Boy doesn't like it, but he hasn't got the guts to stop me. He settles for making fun of my hair and how I smell. Heard they're bringing you stupid little sister back tomorrow, he says behind my back when we go in. Heard them people don't want her after all, 'cause she's too dumb not to wet the bed. It's probably just more of his lies, but a little hope sparks fires anyway. I don't stamp it out. Instead, I give it tinder and breathe on it real soft. After supper, I get up my guts to ask one of the workers if it's true that Fern's coming back. She tells me it is. In the whole time she's been gone, Fern hasn't stopped carrying on and asking for me and wetting herself. It looks like bullheadedness runs in the family, the worker says. Shame, she may never find a home now. I try not to look happy about it, but I am. Once Fern's back, we can both get away, but I'll need to make Silas wait another day. Tonight, I'll sneak outside and tell him. I just have to figure out how to do it without the workers catching me. They might be watching me close since it's my first time to stay upstairs, but it's not the workers I'm most worried about. It's Riggs. He must know where I'll be sleeping tonight, too. And he knows there's no lock on the door. In chapter 17, Avery, that was the end of chapter 16. Now I'm thinking, though, remembering that May, the older lady, but this is Rig. No, this is real. Sorry, it's occurring to me. If they kept the name May, maybe she ends up getting adopted anyway. But they found her in bed, like, or in the place, like, with her sister that, like, passed away. So one of the sisters has to make it. It could be Fern. If you have to kill time, Edisto Island isn't a bad place to do it. The breeze off the water sifts through the screens and teases the hem of the simple wrap dress I've slipped on after whiling away the day. I forgot to grab my cell phone charger before leaving home. Now the battery's at half mast, and there's not a compatible charger available anywhere on the island. Rather than answer an email or scouring the internet for anything pertaining to last night's revelations, I've been forced to entertain myself the old-fashioned way. Kayaking the Ace Basin was worth a second, barely lukewarm shower, and getting a pair of shorts permanently stained by the blackish mix of mildew and fluff mud from the seat of the rental kayak. I feel as if I've rediscovered my childhood self. The paddle trip brought back long-lost memories of a sixth-grade excursion to Edisto with my dad. I've been working on a science fair project about the blackwater ecosystems in the Low Country. Being the driven little perfectionist that I was, I wanted to collect my own samples and take my own photographs rather than just pulling things from books. My dad had obliged. Our overnight visit here yielded one of our few exclusive father-daughter moments that wasn't tied to a horse show or a press op. The memory is still golden, even all these years later. I also remember that it was Elliot who helped me put together the massive backdrop for my exhibit. We'd salvaged the parts from a closet full of old campaign materials, then painted over the signs and argued at length. Oh, hi, John. I just updated. I see. Picture. Yeah. Here's some sweets. Okay. Well, how to make the huge pieces of cardboard stand up on their own. Neither of us was very handy with tools. I don't know why you didn't just buy something, he complained after our second epic failure. By then it was a little late at night, and we were still in my father's horse barn, up to our elbows in paint smears and poorly nailed lumber. Because I want to put it in my paper that the exhibit was built from recycled materials. I want to be able to say I made it myself. I don't see what the difference is. The rest of the argument has been, quite fortunately, lost to the sands of time. I do remember that it got loud enough for Dad's stable manager to venture in with a set of heavy wooden standards used for horse jumps. He added a big box of zip ties and some duct tape. Elliot and I took it from there. The science fair memory makes me laugh. I glance at my watch, thinking I'll call Elliot and share, but I don't want to be tied up on the phone when the call from Trent Turner comes in. Worry creeps up as I think about the time. It's after 5 and I haven't heard from him. Maybe he's working late this evening. Maybe he's changed his mind about letting me see the rest of his grandfather's records. Oh, thank you, Jerry. I'm just like, is 5 that lethal? No, my turn. Okay. Another half hour ticks by. I'm as anxious as a hamster in a very small cage. I sit, I stand, I move around the cottage, checking myself to make sure it has reception. I finally surrendered to the urge to slip down to the beach and covertly scan for signs of life at Trent's cottage. When the phone rings, I've inched at least halfway there, peeking around dunes and sea oats. I'm so startled by the ringtone that I jump, lose my footing in the sand, and end up juggling the cell. I was about to give up on you, Trent says when I finally pick up. I knocked 3 times and nobody answered. Thought maybe you changed your mind. I try to keep my eagerness from showing, but it's hopeless. No, I'm here. I was just out back. Did he say knocked? He's at my door. I'll come around. I look toward the Myers cottage and realize how far away I am. You'll know what I've been doing. I think the gate has poison ivy growing over it. Nope, doesn't look like it. I spin around and bolt for the backyard, but I'm running in sand, the long wrap dress clinging around my legs, my flip flops slapping. I catch the flash of a blue shirt near my grandmother's palmetto hedge, just in time to put the brakes and act as casual coming up the boardwalk. Even so, Trent reacts with a quizzical look. You look a little fancy for digging around in my granddad's shed. I told you it's a mess in there, right? And it's hot. Oh, this? I glanced down at the wrap dress. It's the last thing I had in my suitcase. I took a kayak out this morning and trashed a set of clothes. I'm a wreck. You don't look like a wreck. I tried to decipher whether he's just being nice or flirting, and I can't quite tell. I can see why he's successful in the real estate business. He oozes charm. Ready? He adds. I am. I close the back gate and we stroll down the beach together. He apologizes for getting home late. A little excitement at Aunt Lou's today. Somehow, none of the cousins really want to confess the details. Jonah poked a cocoa puff up his nose. I had to stick around and help with the extraction. Did you get it out? Is he okay? Trent grins. Black pepper. The obstruction was cleared via compressed air from inside the nasal passages. In other words, he sneezed. Whether Aunt Lou gets a confession out of the cousins as to who's responsible remains to be determined. There are 7 of them, all boys, and Jonah is the youngest by 3 years, so he learns life lessons the hard way. Poor little guy, I can sympathize. Being the baby isn't easy. Our family is all girls, though, and that was bad enough. If you need to go get him. Are you kidding? I have a mutiny on my hands if I did. He loves it there. 2 of my mother's sisters and a cousin live on the same street, and my mom and dad are usually here part of the year, so the food and the action are constant. And there's always someone to play with. That was the biggest reason I moved here and bought the real estate office after Jonah's mother died. I needed to cut my working hours back to something reasonable, but I also wanted Jonah to have family around. I didn't want him to grow up in an apartment with just me. Questions rushed through my mind. Most of them seemed far too personal. Where did you live before? I already know the answer. I researched him back when I was following the blackmail theory. New York, given the khakis, polo shirt, casual boat shoes, and slight Texas accent. It's hard to picture him in the buttoned up basic black of a New York professional. Commercial real estate. I feel like an unexpected sort of kinship with Trent Turner. We're both adjusting to new surroundings and new lives. I envy his. Big change, huh? Do you like it here? There's a hint of something, a little regret. It's a lot slower pace, but yes, it's good. I'm sorry about your wife. I wonder at the details, but I'm not going to ask. What I thought might be flirtation on his part is probably just the kind of loneliness that would be natural only a few months after such a loss. I don't want to lead him on in any way. I'm wearing my engagement ring, but it's a princess cut emerald, so people don't always realize it's not just decorative jewelry. We weren't married. I blush instantly, feeling like a ninny for making assumptions. These days, you never know. Oh, sorry. I mean, his smile puts me at ease. It's okay. It's complicated. That's all. We were coworkers and friends. She and I crossed some lines we shouldn't have after her divorce. I suspected Jonah was mine, but Laura said he wasn't. She was moving upstate to give it a try with her ex-husband again. I left it alone. I didn't know the truth about Jonah until after her car wreck. Jonah had internal injuries and he needed a liver donor. Her sister got in touch with me because they hoped I'd be a match. I was, and that was that. Oh, is all I can come up with. He catches my gaze. We stop walking before turning onto the path toward his house, and I know the rest of the story is coming. Jonah has 2 half brothers. He almost doesn't remember anymore. It doesn't look like he'll get the chance to know them unless they decide to reconnect as adults. After the custody hearing, their father wouldn't let them have anything to do with Jonah or me. That's not the way I want it, but that's the way it is. I understand the people my granddad held better than you might think. I can see why you would. I'm surprised by his openness. The depth of his pain and disappointment are obvious. He doesn't even try to conceal the fact that he's conflicted about his decisions or that a past error in judgment resulted in a situation filled with difficult choices. Those realities will affect Jonah for the rest of his life. I come from a world where we would never openly admit to such things, certainly not to someone who is practically a stranger. In the world I know, a polished exterior and an unblemished reputation are paramount. Trent makes me wonder if I've become too accustomed to the constraints that go with upholding public appearances. What would I do if I faced a situation like his? Jonah seems like a really great kid, I say. He is that. I can't imagine any other kind of life now. I guess every parent feels that way. Oh, I'm sure. He waits for me to start along the patch, then follows. A spider web catches me in the face when we enter the yard, and then a second one. Now I remember why my cousins and I always fought about who'd be first on the trails when we rode horses in Hitchcock Woods back home. I pick off the silk and grab a dried up palm frond to swish the air ahead. Trent chuckles. You're not as urban as you look. I told you I grew up in horse barns. I didn't really believe you. I thought Granddaddy's workshop might scare you away when you saw it. Not a chance. When I glance over my shoulder, he is grinning. Were you hoping it would? The path opens into the yard, and he sobers as we cross to the small, low-roofed cabin and climb the steps. I'm not sure. I wish my granddad were here to make these decisions for himself. Concern draws deep lines over his tan forehead as he fishes the keys from his pocket and bends to look at them. I understand. I really do. I've wondered more than once if I should be digging around in my grandmother's past, but I can't help myself. I feel like the truth matters more. He slips the key into the deadbolt and opens the lock, spoken more like a reporter than a politician. You better watch out, Avery Stafford. That kind of idealism will come back to bite you in the political world. I bristle at that, spoken like someone who's dealt with the wrong kind of politicians. He's not saying anything that Leslie hasn't said to me already. She's afraid I'm too highbrow and not realistic about what a Senate run could mean. She forgets that all my life I've had to listen to random strangers offering their opinions about everything from our clothes to the tuition costs of the private schools we attend. Actually, not just strangers, but friends. In my family, public service is still public service. His face is impassive, so I can't tell whether he agrees with me or not. Then you won't like what you're about to find out in relation to the Tennessee Children's Home Society. It's not a pretty story any way you look at it. Why? The place was incredibly well respected, and the woman who ran it, Georgia Tan, operated in powerful circles, socially and politically. She was well thought of publicly. People admired what she was doing. She changed the general perception that orphans were damaged goods. But the reality is that the Tennessee Children's Home Society in Memphis was rotten to the core. It's no wonder Granddad never wanted to talk about what he did in this little building. The stories are sad and they're gruesome, and there are literally thousands of them. Kids were brokered. Georgia Tan made money by charging huge fees for adoptions, transportation, delivery out of state. She took children from poor families and sold them to celebrities and people with political influence. She had law enforcement agencies and family court judges in her pocket. She duped women in hospital maternity wards into signing surrender papers while they were still under sedation. She told people their babies had died when they hadn't. He pulls a folded piece of paper from his back pocket and hands it to me. There's quite a bit more than that. I printed this off today between appointments. The paper is a printed scan of an old newspaper story. The title pulls no punches. It reads, Adoption Matron May Have Been Most Prolific Serial Killer. Trent stops with his hand on the doorknob. He's waiting for me to look over the article. Nobody ever came out here but my grandfather and occasionally clients. Not even my grandmother, but she didn't share his interest in the topic either. I told you that she felt that the past should have been left in the past. Maybe she was right. My grandfather must have felt that way in the end, too. He told me to clean this place out and destroy whatever was still here. Just be warned before we go in. I have no idea what's on the other side of this door. I understand, but was a federal prosecutor in Maryland. Not much shocks me. Yet, just the title of the article is shocking. I can tell that Trent's not letting me through the door until I've read the story, until I've been warned. He wants me to understand that what lies inside won't be warm and fuzzy stories about lonely orphans finally finding homes. I turn back to the article and begin scanning the text. So this is like from the article, okay? Once heralded as the mother of modern adoption and consulted by the likes of Eleanor Roosevelt in efforts to reform adoption policies in the United States, Georgia Tann did indeed facilitate the adoptions of thousands of children from the 1920s through 1950. She also guided a network that, under her watch, allowed or intentionally caused the deaths of as many as 500 children and infants. Many of the children weren't orphans, said Mary Sykes, who, along with an infant sister, was stolen from the porch of her unmarried mother's home at only 4 years old and placed in the care of the Tennessee Children's Home Society. Many had loving parents who wanted to raise them. The children were often literally kidnapped in broad daylight, and no matter how birth parents tried to fight in court, they were not allowed to win. Miss Skies would live for 3 years in a large white house operated by Georgia Tann and her network of helpers. Mary's infant sister, just 6 months old when a woman claiming to be a social services nurse took them from the family's porch, would live in the TCHS facility for only 2 months. The babies weren't given proper food or medical care, said Miss Skies. I remember sitting on the floor in a room full of cribs, reaching through the bars and just patting my sister's arm. She was too weak and dehydrated to even cry. No one would help her. Once it was clear she was too far gone to recover, a worker put her in a cardboard box and carried her away. I never saw her again. I heard later that if babies got too sick or cried too much, they'd set them in the sun in a carriage and leave them. I have children and grandchildren and great-grandchildren now. I can't imagine how anyone could do those things to kids, but it happened. We were tied to beds and chairs. We were beaten, held under the bathwater. We were molested. It was a house of horrors. Over the course of 3 decades, children under the care of TCHS are reported to have disappeared en masse, their paperwork often vanishing along with them, leaving no record of their lives. If biological family members came looking for information or petitioned the courts, they were simply told that the children had been adopted and the records were sealed. Operating under the protection of Boss Crump, Memphis's notorious political kingpin, Georgia Tann's network was seemingly untouchable. That is so horrible. And I bet you this article is just like it's a reprint of a real one that I just read to you. Like, just disgusting. There were like mass graves. Yeah. And that was before they would even she knew someone from like a funeral home or something that was cremating. Anyway. The remainder of the article gives details about the brokering of children to wealthy parents and Hollywood celebrities, the grieving birth families left behind, the allegations of physical and sexual abuse. The last lines are a quote from a man who runs a website called The Lost Lambs. The Memphis branch of the Tennessee Children's Home Society had scouts everywhere, at social services offices, at rural medical clinics, in poor neighborhoods and shack towns. Babies were often given to social workers and officials who might stand in Tann's way. Adoptive parents were sometimes blackmailed for more money, threatened with having their adopted children taken from them. Georgia Tann cultivated the protection of Boss Crump and the family court system. Ultimately, she enjoyed the freedom to alter lives at her discretion. She played God and seemingly had no regrets. In the end, Georgia Tan died of cancer before she could be forced to answer charges. Powerful people wanted to see the case closed, and so it was. This is, I paused to search for the words. The children that came across the border. I mean, I guess. Um, but also, yeah, I was gonna say, but also some of them maybe don't want to be located because they don't want to be, have to be deported or something. So I don't know. I mean, because I guess I don't want to think the worst of literally all of them. But honestly, knowing that there's such monsters out there that would take advantage of poor people, in a bad spot. Yeah, that's kind of a nightmare to think about. Okay. This is, I paused to search for a word. I'm about to say incredible, but this isn't the right term. Appalling. It's hard to imagine that something like this could happen and on such a large scale for years. TCHS wasn't forced to close until 1950. Clearly, Trent shares my mix of horror, astonishment, and rage. Mary Sykes' story of touching her dying sister makes me think of my nieces and nephews and the bonds they had with their siblings. Courtney used to climb into the triplets' cribs and fall asleep with them if she heard them crying at night. I just can't. I can't imagine. I've prosecuted abuse cases, corruption cases, but this is so large scale. Dozens and dozens of people must have known what was happening. How could everyone have just ignored this? It dawns on me then. I have a family from Tennessee. They were political, influential. They held various state, judicial, and federal offices. Were they aware of this? Did they turn a blind eye to it? Was that the reason Grandma Judy involved herself with Trent Turner Sr.? Was she trying to right the family wrongs? Maybe she didn't want it to come out that her family had cooperated with these monstrous acts, perhaps even supported them. The blood drains from my head, and I reach out to steady myself. On the wall, my cheeks feel cold despite the warmth of the summer day. Trent's face offers concern as he stands poised to open the door. You sure? He doesn't look any more certain than I am. We're like two kids trying to dare ourselves into forbidden territory. Is he hoping I'll change my mind and spare both of us whatever details await? The truth always comes out sooner or later. I'm of the belief that you're better off knowing about it first. But even as I say it, I wonder, my entire life I've been so certain that we were above reproach, that our family was an open book. Maybe that was naive of me. What if all these years I've been wrong? Trent looks down at his shoes, takes a loose shell off the porch decking. It bounces against a red toy tractor that looks particularly poignant at this moment. I'm afraid what I'm going to find out in here is that my grandfather's adoption was something like the ones in that article where it mentions giving kids to government officials to keep them quiet. My granddad's adopted father was a Memphis police sergeant. They weren't the kind of people who would have had a bunch of money to fund an expensive adoption. He trails off as if he doesn't want to put any more words to the story, but in his eyes there's a mirror of my own fear. Do we carry the guilt from the sins of the past generations? If so, can we bear the weight of that burden? Trent opens the door and, perhaps, the mystery. Inside, the cottage is low roofed and shadow filled. The white plank walls are crackled and faded, and window glass hangs crooked in the window frames. The air smells of dust and mildew and something else that takes a moment to register. Pipe tobacco. The odor instantly reminds me of my grandpa, Stafford. His office at the Langnap house always held this scent and still does. Trent flips on the light and the bulb flickers stubbornly in a decorative fixture that's out of step with the rest of the place. Hmm. We move into the tiny one-room structure. It contains a large desk that looks as if it could have been bought at a library sale, two file cabinets, a small wooden table, and a couple odd chairs. An old black rotary phone still sits on the desktop. There's a canister of wooden pencils, a stapler, three-hole punch, an ashtray that hasn't been cleaned, a gooseneck desk lamp, an electric typewriter in faded olive green. Shelves along the back wall sag under their load of stacked file folders, aging binders, loose papers, magazines, and books. Trent sighs, running a hand through his hair. He seems too big for this small space. His head is only about 6 inches from the rafters, which I see now are hand-hewn with notches in them, most likely salvaged shipwreck timbers. Are you okay? I ask. He shakes his head, then shrugs, indicating a hat, a vintage umbrella with a dragon carved in the handle, and a pair of blue boat shoes. All three wait by the coat hooks, seemingly in hopes of their owner returning. It feels like he's here, you know? He smelled like this place most of the time. Trent opens the blinds, illuminating the bulletin boards that line the walls. Look, I whisper, dust catching in my throat. There are literally dozens of photos, some bearing the bold colors of modern photography, some in the washed out hues of old Polaroids, some in the shades of black and gray with white frames around the edges, bearing dates July 1941, December 1936, April 1952. Trent and I stand side by side, staring at the wall, each lost in our own thoughts, awed and horrified at once. I take in images, children's faces juxtaposed with adult faces. The resemblances are evident. These are mothers and fathers and kids, presumably birth families, who were separated from one another. The children's pictures now hang next to more recent photos of the adults they became. I look into the eyes of a beautiful woman, her smile vibrant, her hip jutting out as she rests a baby on it. An oversized dress and an apron hang loose on her frame, making her seem like a child playing dress up. She couldn't be more than 15 or 16. What could you tell me, I wonder? What happened to you? Beside me, Trent thumbs a few of the photos. There are even more underneath them. Images layered over images. Trent Sr. was thorough in his work. There's nothing on the backs, Trent observes. I guess that's why he didn't worry about asking me to take care of these. You wouldn't be able to tell who they were unless you knew already. Sadness tinges my thoughts, but it's a vague feeling. My attention is focused on a photo of four women, standing arm in arm on a beach. Even though the picture is black and white, I imagine the bright colors of their 60s era sundresses and broad brimmed hats. I can see the golden glint of sunlight on their long blonde curls. One of the women is my grandmother. She's holding her hat in place. The dragonfly bracelet dangles from her wrist. The other three women bear a resemblance to my grandmother. Same blonde curls, same pale eyes, probably blue. They could easily be relatives, yet I don't recognize any of them. Each wears a dragonfly bracelet that matches my grandmother's. In the background, just out of focus, little boys squat by the tide line, their knees poking upward as they labor over buckets and sand towers. Is one of them my father? I reach for the photo, and Trent stretches up to take it down for me. When he pulls the thumbtack, something small and white falls, drifting like a kite, losing the wind. It's familiar even before I bend to pick it up. A larger version of it rests in a pearlescent frame in May Crandall's nursing home room. A voice disturbs the air, but I'm so focused I almost don't realize I'm the one who's speaking. I've seen this photo before. Chapter 18, Rill. Let me move down here. I'm going to keep reading. I'm not complaining to you right now. You're cute. Okay. The house is black as pitch inside. There's no lights left burning, and the curtains block the moon outside the bedroom windows. Around me, kids rustle in their beds and whimper and grind their teeth in their sleep. After all that time trapped in the basement by myself, it's a comfort to be with anybody, but truth is, this is no safe place. These girls tell tales. They say Riggs comes at night, sometimes, and gets whoever he wants, mostly the little kids he can carry easy. I'm too big to carry, I hope, but I don't want to find out. Why, as a shadow, I slide from under my blanket and tiptoe across the floor. I already walked it real careful before getting into my new bed tonight. I know where the squeaky boards are. I know how many steps it is to the door. I know how many to the stairs. The safest way past the parlor room off the kitchen where the workers will be dozing off in their chairs. James told me all about going downstairs to the kitchen at night to steal Miss Murphy's tea cakes. I know just how he got away with it, but all the things James had figured out didn't save him in the end, so I need to be careful about sneaking out to tell Silas I'm waiting here for Fern to get back. Soon as she does, I'll grab her up and we'll slip off in the dark, and Silas will take us home to the river, and all the terrible times will finally be over. What if Bryony and Queenie don't want me back after what I've done? Maybe they'll hate me as much as I hate myself. Maybe they'll look at the skinny, sad girl I am now and see somebody nobody wants. Well, I'd imagine your mom would be really sad, probably happy to see you, but I mean, this is a nightmare. I trust my mind because your mind can ruin you if you let it. Ugh. I have to pay attention to do everything right so I don't get caught. It's not as hard as I thought it would be. I'm down the back stairs in no time. A small circle of light seeps from the room off the kitchen. Someone's snoring loud inside. Near the door, a pair of feet in heavy white shoes is flopped outward like moth wings. I don't even look to see whose they are. I just slip around the wall by the stove, staying in the shadow like James talked about. My toes test each new floorboard, real careful. The ragged hem of my nightgown catches the oven's rough iron surface. I imagine it making noise, but really it doesn't. The screen door in the washroom squeaks a little when I tug it open. I stop, I hold my breath, stretch my ears toward the house. Listen, there's nothing. Soft as a whisper, I go on out. The porch boards are white with dew, just like the deck of the Arcadia. Overhead, katydids and crickets give the sky a heartbeat. and a million stars shine like far-off campfires. The half moon hangs heavy, rocking on its back. Its twin rides the ripples in the rain barrel as I pass. All of a sudden, I'm home again. I'm wrapped in the blanket of night and stars. The blanket is part of me, and I am part of it. No one can touch me. No one can tell one of us from the other. Bullfrogs croak and dark birds call as I run across the yard, the thin white gown skimming my legs, light as milkweed silk. Near the back fence, I cling close to the holly bushes, give a whippoorwill's call. An echo answers. I smile and breathe in the sweet, heavy smell of jasmine and hurry toward the sound, pushing my way along the big boy's tunnel until I'm there at the fence. Silas is on the other side. In the moon shadows, I can't see his face, only the outline of his applejack hat and his knobby legs bent up like a frog's. He reaches through the bars for me. Let's go, he whispers, then locks onto one of the bars like he means to pull it loose with his bare hands. I cut this one most of the way through. It ought to. Grabbing his hand, I stop him. If he opens the hole, the big boys will see it in the morning when they come to their hideout. I can't. Everything inside me screams, go, run. I can't leave yet. Fern's coming back. The people who took her don't want her anymore. I have to wait till tomorrow night so I can bring her with me. You gotta get away now. I'll come back here for Fern. Doubts dart through my mind, skittering this way and that. No, once they know I'm gone, once they see the hole in the fence, we'll never get her out of here. I can sneak away again tomorrow night. And there's another little boy, Stevie. He's from the river too. I can't just leave him here. How am I going to manage it? I know where Stevie sleeps, but getting him from the toddler room and bringing Fern and not letting anyone see us, it doesn't seem possible. Even so, Silas being here makes me sure of myself. It makes me brave. I feel like I can do anything. I'll find a way. I can't leave Fern or Stevie here. They belong to the river. They belong to us. Miss Murphy and Miss Tan stole enough from me already. I want it back. I want to be real Foss again. Before this is over, I'll find all my sisters and my baby brother and bring them home to the Arcadia. That's what I'll do. There's a fat chance of that. I mean, your name is still May Weathers. I mean, I just stopped seeing it. Before this is over. Okay. Silas reaches out, and his long, thin arms circle me. I lean toward him, and his cap tumbles off. His forehead rests against my cheek, his raven's wing hair tickling my face. I don't want you to go back in there. He slides a hand over my hair, soft and careful, and my heart speeds up. It's all I can do not to bust through the fence right now. It's only one more day. I'll be here tomorrow night, Silas promises. He kisses me on the cheek. Something new shivers through me, and I close my eyes hard against the feeling. Leaving him there is as hard as anything I ever did in my life. As I crawl off, he packs mud on the bars so nobody'll see the fresh cuts in the metal. If one of the big boys happens to lean against the fence while they're in their tunnel, I hope it doesn't break. I'm back to the house and up the stairs without even breathing again. It feels like at the top. I check the hall and listen for sounds before starting around the railing where we line up for our baths. There's nothing but moon shadows from the stairway window and sleep noises. One of the little kids talks in his dreams. I freeze, but then he goes quiet just as quick. Only 15 more steps and I'll be back in my room again. I've made it. Nobody will know where I went. Tomorrow, it'll be even easier now that I've done it once. James was right. It's not that tough to get away with things here if you're smart. I can fool all of them. The idea swells inside me. It makes me feel like I took something from them. Something they stole from me that was mine. Power. I've got power now. When we're safe on the Arcadia, the river carrying us far away from here. I'll forget all about this place. I'll never tell anybody what happened here. It'll be like it never happened at all. A bad dream with bad people in it. I'm so caught in the idea I step wrong. A floorboard creaks under my foot. I hold back aghast, look down, then decide the best thing I can do is hurry on in case one of the workers show up. If I'm in the bed, they won't have any way to know who I was. I almost don't see Mr. Riggs till I'm on top of him. He's coming out of the toddler's room. He stumbles back, and so do I. His shoulder hits the wall, and he whispers, "Oof." I turn to rush off, but he grabs me by a fistful of nightgown and hair. His big hand clamps over my mouth and nose. I smell sweat and whiskey, tobacco and coal ash. He bends my head back so far, I think he'll snap my neck right here. He'll snap my neck and drop me down the stairs and say I fell. That's how it ends. I strain my eyes to see him. He looks around, tries to decide where he can take me. I can't let him get me to the basement. If he does, I'm dead. I know it. Bern will come back tomorrow and I won't be here. Checking the stairs, he wobbles on his feet. His boot comes down hard over my toe, and stars shoot across my eyes, and I moan. He clamps his hand harder, cutting off my air. I hear my backbone crack. I twist and push and try to get free, but he only crushes me tighter against him, lifting me off my feet and dragging me down the hall into the shadows by the bathroom door. His fingers fumble for the handle to open it. I whimper and struggle and pull until finally he growls low in his throat and pins me to the wall so he can get at the door. His belly crushes my chest, and blackness circles around my eyes, and my lungs choke for air. His face comes close to my ear. "You and me can be friends. I can get you peppermints and cookies. Anything you want. We can be the best friends." He rubs his cheek along my chin and my shoulder, his whiskers scrubbing hard as he smells my hair, then sticks his face in around the neck of my nightie. "You smell like outside. You been meeting one of the big boys down there? You got a boyfriend again?" His voice seems like it's coming from far off, echoing the way foghorns do on the river's cold mornings. My knees buckle. My feet go prickly and numb. I can't feel the wall or him. My ribs jerk like a fish's gills when it's hanging on the stringer. I see sparkle fairies. They dance wild in the dark. No, I tell myself, no, but there's nothing left to fight with. My body's gone. Maybe I'll suffocate and die. I hope so. Just as quick, he lets loose of me, and cool rushes in where his body was, and a breath pours into my belly. I slide down the wall and land in a pile, dizzy, blinking and trying to push off the door. "Mr. Riggs?" The sharp voice of a worker comes from the stairway. "What are you doing up here at this hour?" My eyes clear, and I see him standing in front of me, so she won't see. I pull back into the shadows, squeeze tight against the wall. If they catch me here, I'll be the one who's in trouble, not him. I'll get locked away again, or worse. Heard thunder a while ago. Gotta close up the windows. The worker comes around the railing. The moonlight catches her, and I see she's the new one that came since Miss Dodd left. I don't know much about her, or if she's mean or not. She sounds mean. She doesn't like Riggs being up here. That's clear enough. If she gives him trouble, she won't last long at Miss Murphy's. I didn't hear anything. She twists back and forth, looking toward the bedroom doors. "It's outside when I heard it. Was some stray cats yowling. Took my rifle out to kill 'em." Good heavens. You'd have woken the whole place. Surely the cats aren't hurting anything. Cousin Ida don't like nothing prowling round where she don't belong. By Cousin Ida, he means Miss Murphy. He also means to let the new worker know her place. "I'll check the windows myself. She's not backing down, and I don't know whether I'm glad or not. If she keeps coming closer, she'll see me. If she leaves, Riggs will drag me off into the bathroom. No need in disturbing your sleep, Mr. Riggs, when I'm being paid to watch the children at night. He moves away from me and closer to her, his steps uneven and wobbly. At the corner of the railing, he blocks her path. The two shadows melt into one. He whispers something. Mr. Riggs. Her hand swings out of the shadows and back in. Skin slaps on skin. Have you been drinking? I've seen how you've been watching me. I have done no such thing. You be nice, or I'll tell Cousin Ida. She don't like nobody to give me trouble. She sidles to the wall and slides past him, and he lets her by. You will keep away from me, or I'll tell her myself. I'll tell her you got liquored up and were fresh with me. He lumbers on toward the stairs. You ought to look. See the little boys first. Somebody tumped out of bed in there. His feet fall heavy as he walks on down. The boards squeak and sing. Hugging her arms around herself, the worker watches him before going to see about the toddlers. I stand up on shaky legs and hurry to my bed and pull the covers all the way to my neck and wrap up. It's a good thing because the worker comes in our room next, maybe thinking Riggs was closest to it. She walks along and lifts the covers and looks at every one of us like she's checking for something. When she comes to my bed, I breathe long and deep and fight hard not to shiver as she pulls the covers off. Me and feels my skin. Maybe she wonders why I'm wrapped up so tight when it's sticky hot. Maybe she can smell the night on me like Riggs did. She stays over my bed a while. Finally, she's gone, and I lay there looking up at the dark. One more day, I tell myself. You gotta get by one more day. I think it over and over again like a promise. I have to. Otherwise, I'd find a way to get that screen off the window and I'd jump out and hope it's high enough to kill me. I can't live like this. I fall asleep knowing it's true. Morning comes in fits and jerks. I wake and sleep, waiting on the voices of the workers to tell us to get out of the beds and put on our clothes. I know it's better than to move before that. Miss Polnick made sure to tell me the upstairs rules before she showed me my bed and the little crate underneath where I keep my clothes. But I won't be needing that crate for long. I'll get us out tonight. All three of us, me and Fern and Stevie, no matter what it takes. If I've got to grab a kitchen knife and stab it into somebody to get us past, I'll do it. I tell myself I won't let anyone stop me. It's not till we're downstairs for breakfast that I know I've been making promises that'll be hard to keep. First, to rattle out the box this morning, Miss Polnick spotted sandy footprints in the kitchen. They're dried, so she knows they were put there last night. They fade out before the stairs, which means she can tell where the trail would end up. Or can't tell, but the prints are big enough that she's sure it was one of the older boys. She's got them lined up and she's trying them one by one against the tracks to see who fits. She hasn't noticed yet that I've got big feet. Standing by my place at the table with the rest of the girls, I squeeze my toes in and hope she won't look my way. Maybe one of the boys is the size of the prince, I think. And I know that's wrong because I'd be getting somebody in trouble, bad trouble. Miss Murphy's in the room too, and she's hotter than a jar fresh out of the canning pot. She's got an umbrella with all the cloth torn off. She means to whip somebody with it. After that, it'll probably be the closet. I can't get the closet, but can I stand by and let it happen to somebody else? Well, it's my fault. It'd be the same as if I was swinging the umbrella myself. Through the washroom, I see Riggs by the back screen door. He's watching the show. He nods and smiles at me, and my skin goes cold. The new worker looks on from the corner, her dark eyes skittering. She's never seen anything like this. It could have been me, she babbles out. Mr. Riggs mentioned stray cats outside, and I went to shoo them away. Miss Murphy barely even hears her. You will not interfere, she screeches, and your feet are too small. Who are you covering up for? Oh, no one. Her eyes dart off toward me. Miss Murphy and Miss Polnick try to follow them. Time slows down. Be still, I think. Don't move. I stay frozen. Could be those was there last evening. There's mud around the rain barrel, Riggs tosses in, now that everyone's looking at my side of the table. At first, I think Riggs wants to help, and then I understand he just doesn't want me locked up tonight where he can't get to me. Miss Murphy bats a hand at him. You hush. Honestly, you're far too kind to these little ingrates. Give them an inch and they'll take a mile. She slaps the umbrella against her palm, studying my side of the table. Now, if it wasn't one of the boys, then who could it be? The girl who was in the bed across from me last night. Dora tips her head back and wobbles around and faints dead away on the floor. Nobody moves. Not her, I guess, Miss Murphy says. And if not her, then who? The umbrella swings in a circle like a magic wand. Step away from the table, girls. Her eyes sparkle. Let's see who our little Cinderella might be. The phone rings and everybody jumps. Then we stand still as statues, even the workers, while Miss Murphy decides whether or not to answer. When she does, she half yanks the phone off the wall, but her voice goes honey sweet soon as she knows who it is. Why, yes. Good morning, Georgia. How delightful to hear from you so early. She pauses and then says, Yes, yes. Why, certainly. I've been up for hours. Let me walk back to my office and pick up your call in private. The words echoing through the phone come fast, like the rat-a-tat-tat of the Gatling guns in cowboy western movies. Oh, I see. Of course. Miss Murphy sets down the umbrella and lays a palm on her forehead, her lips pulling back from her teeth in a way that makes me think of Queenie the last night I saw her. Well, yes, we can accomplish it by 10, but I don't think it's advisable, you see. More talk comes through the phone, loud and fast. Yes, I understand. We won't be late, Miss Murphy says past her teeth, and when she slams the earpiece back in its holder, she points my way with her eyes narrow and her mouth squeezed into a tight ball. Take her and clean her up and put her in a Sunday dress. Something blue to match her eyes, and with a pinafore. Miss Tan wants her downstairs at the hotel by 10. Miss Polnick's face looks like Miss Murphy's. The last thing they want to do with me right now is wash me up, brush my hair, and get me in a dress. But do not question me. Miss Murphy howls. Oh, thank you, Jerry. Mm. Then swats Danny Boy in the head hard because he's the closest. Everybody shrinks away as she sweeps a finger around the room. What are all of you looking at? The kids don't know whether to sit down or stay where they are. They wait until Miss Murphy pounds through the swinging door. Then they slink into their chairs while the hinges are still creaking. I will be taking care with you myself. Miss Polnick grabs me by the arm, squeezing hard. I know she's about to get revenge on me one way or the other. But I know that whatever Miss Tan has planned, it could be even worse. There are stories about what happens to kids when the workers take them to hotels. And don't leave any bruises on her, Miss Murphy's order echoes in front of the hall. Just like that, I'm saved. But then again, I'm not. Miss Polnick yanks my hair and wrenches me around. She tries hard to make the next hour hurt as much as possible, and it does. By the time I finally walked out to the car to join Miss Murphy, my head is pounding. My eyes are red from the tears. I've been told I better not cry. Miss Murphy doesn't say a word in the car, and I'm glad. I just press myself close to the door and look out the glass, scared and worried and sore. I don't know what's about to happen to me, but I know it won't be good. Nothing here is good. On the way downstairs, we pass by the river. She tugs and barges a big showboat. Its Calio music pushes into the car, and I remember how Gabian used to dance on the deck of the Arcadia when the showboats went by. He'd make us laugh and laugh. My heart strains toward the water, hoping to see the Arcadia or old Zed's boat or any shanty boat at all. But there's nothing. Across the way, a river camp sits empty. There's only dead fire pits, trampled circles of grass, and a stack of drift somebody gathered up but never burned. The shanty boats are all gone. It hits me for the first time that it must be about October by now. Pretty soon the maples and the gum trees will change, bits of red and yellow edging along their leaves. The river gypsies have already started the long, slow drift south, down to where the winters are warm, and the water's chock full of catfish. Brian is still here, I tell myself, but all of a sudden I feel like I'll never see him or Fern or anybody I love ever again. The feeling swallows me whole, and all I can do is let my mind leave my body. I'm not there when the driver parks the car in front of a tall building. I barely hear Miss Murphy threatening what'll happen to me if I don't behave. It hardly even hurts when she pinches through my dress and twists the skin over my ribs and tells me I better do whatever I'm asked to do in here, and I'm not to tell anyone no, or cry, or carry on about it. You'll be as sweet as a little kitten. She squeezes my skin harder and holds her face close to mine, or you'll be sorry, and so will your little friend Stevie. You wouldn't want anything to happen to him, would you? She gets out on the curb and drags me with her. Around us, men pass by in business suits. Women stroll along with bright packages. A mama in a red coat pushes a baby carriage out of the hotel and glances at us as she goes by. She has the kindest face, and I want to run to her. I want to grab onto her coat and tell her everything. Help me, I'll say, but I can't let myself. I know they'll take it out on Stevie if I do, and probably Fern too. Once they get her back to Miss Murphy's house, no matter what, I have to be good today. I have to do everything they say so they won't lock me up when we get home tonight. I straighten my back and tell myself this is the last time. This is the last time they'll ever be able to make me do anything. Whatever it is, I'll go along. But my heart flutters and my stomach tightens like a fist. A man in a uniform holds open the door. He looks like a soldier or a prince. I want him to rescue me the way princes do in fairy books. Good day, Miss Murphy smiles and raises her nose and marches on. Inside the hotel, people are laughing and talking and having lunch at a restaurant. It's a pretty place, like a castle, but it doesn't seem pretty today. It seems like a trap. The elevator man stands like a statue by the buttons. It doesn't even seem like he breathes while the little box takes us up and up and up. When we get off, the man sends a sad look my way. Doesn't he know where they're taking me? What's about to happen? Miss Murphy wants me down the hallway and knocks on a door. Come in, a woman calls, and when we do, Miss Tan is sprawled out on a sofa like a cat resting in the sun. Behind her, the curtains are open, and the big window shows the whole city of Memphis. We're so far up, we look down on the roofs. I've never been this high in the air in my life. I squeeze my hands into fists and hide them in the ruffled pinafore and try not to move. Miss Tan's got a half full glass in her hand. She looks like she's been here a while. Maybe she lives in the hotel. She swirls the brown drink, lifts it toward a door across the sofa. Put her in the bedroom, and then that will be all, Miss Murphy. Close the door as you leave her, and instruct her to sit quietly until she's told otherwise. I'll speak with him out here first to make certain our arrangement is in order. I don't mind staying, Georgia, if you'd rather. She watches me as we cross to the door, and Miss Murphy holding me up under the armpit, so I can't help but walk uneven. Honestly, there will be better choices, but I can see why he wants her, Miss Tan says. I don't know why anyone would want her. Inside the bedroom, Miss Murphy sits me on the bed and fluffs the frilly dress around me so I look like a pillow doll. She yanks my hair forward over my shoulders, letting it hang in long curls, and then tells me not to move an inch, not one. She finishes when she's heading out the door. She closes it behind her. I hear her and Miss Tan talking in the other room. They chat about the view and share a drink. Then there's nothing but quiet, the faraway sounds of the city. Horns honk, a streetcar rings its bell, a newspaper boy yells. I don't know how much time goes by before there's a knock on the front door. Miss Tan answers, sticky sweet, and I hear a man's voice, but I can't make out the words until they come closer. Of course, she's all yours. If you're certain you still want her, that is, Miss Tan says. Yes, and I appreciate your altering our arrangements on such short notice. My wife has struggled terribly these last few years, often to the point of taking her to bed for weeks on end, locking herself away from me. What else can I do? Indeed, I can see where the girl might serve your needs, but I do have other children who are more tractable, Miss Tan suggests. We have many older girls, yours for the asking. Please, I think, pick somebody else. And then I know that's wrong. I shouldn't wish bad things on the other kids. No, I wanted her specifically. I squeeze the bed covers, sweat coats my palms and seeps into the fabric. I dig in my fingernails. Be good, whatever it is, be good. Silas is coming tonight. What else can I do? The man asks again. My wife is so very fragile. The child will not stop carrying on. I cannot have the constant upheaval and noise around the house. I am a composer, you know. It interferes with my work. I have several scores for films due by the holiday season, and time is running short. Oh, sir, I can practically assure you that this girl will bring you more trouble, not less. Miss Murphy pipes up. I assumed you only wanted her for. I had no idea you planned to take her with you permanently, or I would have spoken up sooner. It is of no matter, Miss Murphy, Miss Tan snaps. The girl is certainly old enough to be compliant with whatever Miss Sevier should desire. Yes, yes, of course, Georgia, pardon my interruption. The girl is perfect in every way, I can assure you, sir, unblemished. The man says something I can't make out, and then Miss Tan talks again. Very well, then. I have her documents for you, and, of course, as with your other adoption, it will be 1 year before the process is decreed final. But I would anticipate no trouble with that, especially for a client of your stature. The conversation goes quiet, papers rustle. I only want Victoria to be happy again, the